Why, hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast. My name is, of course, Gideon, and I'm here again this week to immerse you in the English language in a relaxed and natural way. I hope you have all had a glorious week, wherever you are in the world, and whatever you have been doing. Thank you for watching and listening to this podcast again. Now, I'm going to be honest with you about this week. It's been a difficult week for me, and I'll tell you why. So, at the time of recording this podcast, I'm going on holiday tomorrow, actually. So, although you will be listening or watching this whilst I am on holiday, I recorded this before I went on holiday so I could get ahead. Yes, I'm actually trying to be professional and be prepared. But leading up to my holiday, something happened which made this week extremely difficult. And that was around Tuesday, I mentally switched off from any responsibility, from everything I needed to do, and I entered holiday mode pretty much a week early. Now, I'm interested to know, is this something that just happens to me? Or have you had the same thing that when it's leading up to that week, you're going on holiday, you're excited, thinking about what you're going to do, and you mentally switch off from everything else that you have to do during that week? Of course, I had a lot of private English classes, and I do hope that none of my students could tell and they still enjoyed their lessons as always. But mentally, it's been a tough week because I haven't been here in my office in England. Mentally, I've been on the beach in the Dominican Republic, which is where I'm traveling to, as you all know from last week's episode. And that's where I am. That's where I've been mentally all week. On the beach, with a cold drink, on a sun lounger, dipping my toes in the sea. So, yeah, this week's podcast, I thought, you know what, we'll just have some fun. We'll make it a little bit more relaxed. So, we are going to focus our discussion today on riddles. Okay, so I'm going to present to you 20 riddles. We're just going to talk about them, and I want you to play along at home. So at this moment, I encourage you, if you are at a place where you can sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, grab a drink, or grab a snack, and just sit back with me and enjoy these riddles. If you are listening to this on Spotify, and driving, then pay attention to the road. If you're doing something serious, pay attention. Don't get too distracted. But if you can, play along with me with these riddles. I will be very intrigued to know how many you get right, because I'm going to be honest again. This, in preparation for this podcast, it made me realize how unbelievably terrible I am at riddles. My brain is not wired in the way that it needs to be to answer riddles. I've realized that. I was shocking at them, and I genuinely mean that. So I know all of the answers in preparation for this. I know the answers, but I'm going to give you some time after each one to just see if you can come up with an answer. And please let me know in the comments how many you got right, which ones you struggled with, and so on. No, or even just say hello in the comments. I love it when you introduce yourself. I really like that. Also, send me an email. GSLEnglish1@gmail.com. Say hi. Let me know if you enjoy the podcasts. Tell me a story. Absolutely anything. Just get in touch. I'll try and reply to absolutely everyone. And just as a note before we start, I've had a few emails recently and questions about private classes with myself. Yes, I do offer private English classes, one-on-one, group classes, and speaking clubs where you can practice your speaking skills. So if you are interested in that, either send me a message on Instagram, or just send me an email. Again, GSLEnglish1@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you with all of the information. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's have a look at some riddles. But before we do that, I want to just kind of go through what a riddle actually is. Okay, so let's actually just define what a riddle is. What are we talking about? Well, a riddle is a question or statement so framed as to exercise one's ingenuity in answering it or discovering its meaning. It's a conundrum, a puzzling question, problem, or matter, a puzzling thing or person. So, a riddle is something that is designed to get us thinking. And it talks here about ingenuity, thinking in a different way. The answers are most often not obvious. Okay, so the answers are most often not obvious at all. So bear that in mind as we go through this. Try and think outside of the box. Don't think conventionally, and see if you can get the answer. So the idea here is to really get us thinking. And this is a great exercise to think in English. I'd like you to try that as we go through. So, of course, I'm going to present the riddles to you in English. But as we go through, try and think about your answers in English. Okay, so as I said, grab a drink, grab some snacks, get comfortable. And once you are ready, we are going to start with riddle number 1. Okay, so here we go. What time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? Okay, so that's the first riddle. What time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? Okay, so I don't know if you've got any ideas there. This one is kind of a bit of a warm-up. The answer for me was a little bit infuriating. I didn't get this one first off. It was a terrible start for me. The answer is, what time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? The answer is, it's time to fix the fence. So that's quite an annoying answer, isn't it? But you get the idea with riddles that we're not often talking literally. Okay, so the question that was presented to us here, what time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? Perhaps you were thinking about time. I know I certainly was. Thinking about time or a time of the day, or trying to think about, elephants and time. How does that relate? But here, thinking outside the box, an elephant is a huge animal. So, of course, naturally, if an elephant sits on a fence is like a wooden structure that goes along a garden, often to divide property or land. So, of course, when an elephant sits on a fence, what time is it? Well, it's naturally time to fix the fence. So if you got that one right, you're off to a great start. If not, you're with me, okay? You can just be terrible at riddles with me. So let me know if you got that first one. All right, nice little warm up there, but let's get into riddle number 2, okay? What gets wet while drying? What gets wet while drying? I'll give you a couple of minutes just to think about this one as I blabber on in between. So, of course, we're looking at something here that it's wet whilst it's drying. So try and think again outside of the box. Any answers? I will be using one of these next week. At the point of this podcast going out, I'm probably using one of these right now, hopefully, at the beach. The answer is a towel. A towel. What gets wet while drying? Quite a clever riddle, really, because a towel is, of course, getting wet, isn't it? Because we use it to dry off after going for a swim or a dip in the sea. But whilst doing that, it is drying our bodies. So it gets wet while drying. Great riddle. I like that one. Very clever. And just a little bit of pronunciation here on towel. It's quite a complicated word, really. It's a little bit annoying. But it's not towel, 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 towel. Kind of that is really, really subtle. Towel. But yeah, what gets wet while drying? A towel. How are you doing so far? I hope you're still listening. I hope you're still watching to this. Otherwise, I'm on my own. But I shall not stop. I will persevere. The next one. I like this one. What can go up a chimney down, but can't go down a chimney up? Now, you might be asking, Gideon, what on earth is a chimney? So whilst you're thinking about that one, I'm going to tell you. A chimney is what's smoke goes up when there is a fire inside a property. So often old houses in England, my house growing up, had one of these, a little fire downstairs in the living room. And of course, smoke has to go somewhere from that fire. So the chimney goes all the way up the length of the house and then pops out the top and then lets all of the smoke come out from the house. You know, if you kind of think of that quintessentially British picture of terraced houses, you often see smoke coming out the top. That is from the chimney. Yeah, the house I grew up in had a chimney, and actually, fun fact, for a while at the house that I grew up in, from young age to early teens, our heating was actually controlled by that fire. So if we wanted heat and warmth, if we wanted hot water, we needed to light that fire. So what can go up a chimney down, but can't go down a chimney up? The answer is an umbrella. An umbrella. Now, this one takes a little bit of thinking. Often when an umbrella is down, meaning that it's not out, what kind of shape is it? Well, it's very thin, isn't it, with the handle at the ends. So it can go up a chimney whilst it's down quite easily. But it can't go down a chimney when it's up. If we think about if we were to put an umbrella up, and it takes up a lot more room, that would not go down the chimney, would it? It would stop. So if the umbrella is down, it can just go up or down the chimney easily. But if it's up, as in how it would be to protect us from the rain, then that is no longer possible. Okay, how are you doing so far? The next one. What can you hold in your right hand, but never in your left hand? What can you hold in your right hand, but never in your left hand? This one stumped me. By stumped means that I couldn't get it. I really struggled with this one. So what can you hold in your right hand, but never in your left hand? Yeah. The focus really here is on hand. Okay, so what can you hold in your right hand, but you can't hold it in your left hand? Well, the answer is your left hand. Okay, so if you take your right hand, of course, I can hold my left hand in my right hand, but I can't hold my left hand in my left hand because my left hand is my left hand. So it's not possible. Yeah, that one really, really stumped me. Quite an annoying answer, I think. I don't know about you, but I find a lot of answers to riddles just frustrating. Probably because I can't do them and I can't get them. But often my reaction, like an answer like this, is, oh, that's just stupid. And it's just basically from annoyance that I didn't get it. All right, number 5. You might have seen that answer. If you're on YouTube, I've just scrolled a little bit too eagerly there. So hopefully you didn't see the answer. But if you did, then keep it to yourself. What can you catch but not throw? Okay. What can you catch but not throw? Interesting one. As you go through this, try and think about the way we word things in English, different phrases we use as a clue. Something we might catch, particularly when the weather's not too good. Got any answers there? The answer is a cold. Now, a cold is, when we're just not feeling too good. We've got the sniffles, a headache. We don't want to get out of bed. You feel all shivery and fluey. That is a cold. And in English, we say that we catch a cold. I don't want to catch a cold, or, oh no, I've caught a cold. That's how we refer to it, which is quite funny, really, isn't it? Because we don't physically catch it. But yeah, we catch a cold. So we can catch a cold, but of course we can't throw it. It'd be amazing if we could. Imagine if we could just throw a cold away after we've caught it. But no, you can't throw a cold. So what can you catch but not throw? A cold. Very good. Okay. What kind of band never plays music? What kind of band never plays music? I did get this one. I was quite proud of myself. I think this was one of the very few ones I actually got. So what kind of band never plays music? I'm going to give you a few more seconds. Have a little think about it. What kind of band never plays music? The answer is... Oh man, I scrolled that down really far. A rubber band. A rubber band or an elastic band. And that is those things that often we use to hold things together. When I was a kid, I used to make elastic band balls. But yeah, a rubber band. So of course, at the outset of this one, you're probably thinking of bands, a drummer, guitarist, bass. Of course, they play music. So that's not the answer. So what kind of band never plays music? A rubber band or an elastic band. And that is the thing that we tie around things to keep it together. Sometimes papers or documents and things like that. Okay, number 7. What question can you never say yes to? Okay, what question can you never say yes to? Give me a few seconds just to churn that one over before I give you a little bit of a clue. So what question can you never say yes to? And it is impossible to say yes to this question, just so you know. It's not like an enigma or anything like that. It is impossible. You cannot say yes to this question. It's a question that actually my wife asks me a lot. And that is, are you asleep? Okay, the answer is, are you asleep? Because of course, if somebody asks you, are you asleep? And you are able to respond, then you're not asleep. So, you can't say yes, which is funny because we often do say that. I know if my wife will say to me, Gideon, are you asleep? I'll say, yes, I am asleep, which is a lie because I'm not asleep. I can't be asleep because I am answering that question. So it is a question that technically we can't honestly or truthfully say yes to, because if we were asleep, we wouldn't hear the question. We wouldn't answer the question. So yeah, I like that one. What question can you never say yes to? Are you asleep? But I guess technically you can say yes, but maybe it should be, what question can you never truthfully say yes to? Very good. All right, number 8. What has lots of eyes but can't see? What has lots of eyes but can't see? This one stumped me, actually. I don't get it. What? Oh no. What has lots of eyes but can't see? I thought I was reading the wrong answer. I missed this one out in my preparation. What has lots of eyes but can't see? Oh, I'm going to give you the answer, guys. And if you've got any definition or any reason for this one, let me know. A potato is the answer. A potato. What has lots of eyes but can't see? A potato. Lots of eyes but can't see. Is it because those little marks on a potato are called an eye? I actually don't know the answer to this or the reason why that is the answer. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I missed this one out in my preparation. But yeah, I don't know why it's a potato. And this is what I mean. I'm really silly and stupid when it comes to riddles. My brain doesn't work in that kind of way, which I'm sure there's many of you just screaming right now as to why the answer is potato. But I don't know. I genuinely don't actually know. So let me know if you've got any ideas. Okay, with question number 9, we're going to stay on the theme of eyes. And that is, what has one eye but can't see? No, the answer is not a cyclops, because a cyclops does have one eye but can see. So what has one eye but can't see? So it has an eye but doesn't have the ability to see, doesn't have the sense of sight. Okay. Think about that one. I'm still stumped on that last one, guys. A potato. What has lots of eyes but can't see? A potato. I don't know. Yeah, really don't get that one. Okay. What has one eye but can't see? A needle. A needle. A needle is what we use to sew clothes together. In this instance, so we're not talking about like a vaccination needle, like a needle and thread, because when you have your needle at the top, it has this little eye that you poke the thread through, and then of course you can run that through the material. So it has one eye, but of course not the ability to see. So the answer is a needle. Okay, number 10. What can travel all around the world without leaving its corner? Okay? What can travel all around the world without leaving its corner? I was stumped on this one again. I don't know why I keep saying that. I didn't get most of them. This is something that we definitely have to do in England. Give you a clue. Something when you want to send something. Okay? What can travel all around the world without leaving its corner? As another clue, the price of them has gone up a little bit recently, I think. The answer is a stamp. So a stamp is what you put on the right hand or the left hand corner of a postcard. If you want to send it abroad or a letter or anything like that, you have to have a stamp, either first class or second class, and then that will go to its desired location. And sometimes they can travel all around the world. I've got some family around the world. Sometimes we send letters, have the little stamp, and then it travels all around the world. But that stamp does not leave its corner, does it? It's not going anywhere. So what can travel all around the world without leaving its corner? A stamp. Very clever to whoever wrote that riddle. Well done. Okay, number 11. What two things can you never eat for breakfast? What two things can you never eat for breakfast? I can eat anything for breakfast. Love it. Probably one of my favourite meals of the day. I love a good breakfast, a good fry up in the morning. But what are two things you can never eat for breakfast? So 2 things. As a clue, perhaps think about your day. Meals in a day. That might have just given it away. The answer is lunch and dinner. So 2 things you can never eat for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Now, I have a few problems with this answer because sometimes I love to have my leftovers for breakfast from lunch and dinner. So technically, I am having my dinner for breakfast. For example, pizza. If you have pizza for dinner. Now, this might gross you out. I might be the only one that does this. I don't know, a bit of a chilled weekend. You got some pizza left over from the night before. Let's have it for breakfast. So technically, you are having your dinner for breakfast. So, yeah. Let me know. Do you agree with that one? 2 things you can never eat for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Yeah, not too sure on that one. Not too sure on that. Okay, number 12. What kind of room has no doors or windows? What kind of room has no doors or windows? So this one is bordering on more of a joke. I think sometimes the line is crossed between a riddle and a joke. This is just basically, in my eyes, a really awful dad joke. Dad jokes are just those really cheesy jokes that dads often tell. I'm partial to a dad joke. I don't mind a dad joke here and there, but this one is terrible. Okay? If you know any good dad jokes, let me know in the comments. One of my favourite dad jokes is this. Why did the tomato date the mushroom? Because he was a fun guy. Because he was a fun guy. Yeah, fun guy, type of mushroom. Also a fun guy, we want to be around him. Anyway, what kind of room has no doors or windows? A mushroom. Don't like that one. To me, that just comes across like an absolutely awful joke. What do you think? What kind of room? Mushroom. There's no doors or windows. No. Not a fan of that one, whoever wrote it. I don't respect it. Don't appreciate it. Okay. What do Alexander the Great and Winnie the Pooh have in common? Oh, this is such a silly answer. What do Alexander the Great and Winnie the Pooh have in common? It's not to do with honey, by the way. They both didn't love honey, which was where I was going with it. Because remember, a riddle isn't literal. And I think that's where I struggle with these. I go too literal. I expect the answers to be within the question. Quite literally, I mean. So what do Alexander the Great and Winnie the Pooh have in common? Their middle names. Alexander the Great and Winnie the Pooh. I like that one. Again, probably bordering on a little bit more of a joke. But yeah, we have something in common, something that we share together. So their middle names. Yeah. The. Very good. Okay. Number 14. I feel like these do just get a little bit more silly. Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? Again, when I was preparing this one, I just went too literal. I was thinking about all of the mountains in the world. Which one's the highest? I even Googled the mountains which are highest in the world. So before Mount Everest was discovered or found, what was the highest mountain in the world? Well, the answer is Mount Everest. It just wasn't discovered yet. It's annoying, isn't it? I don't know about you. I hope some of you are sitting at home like I did preparing this, just going, oh, for goodness sake, that is such a silly answer. That's stupid. But yeah, kind of true though, isn't it? Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? Well, it was still Mount Everest. It just wasn't discovered yet. Very well done. You made us all look silly. Okay, number 15. What is the end of everything? Seems like a deep question. But let me just give you a clue. The answer is it by no means deep or profound or thought-provoking in any way. What is the end of everything? Maybe you'll get this one as you started to kind of get the theme of how these riddles work. So what is the end of everything? The answer is dun, 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 the letter G. Wow. Okay, there you go. I've not got much to say on that one. Everything ends in a G. That is the end of it. Okay. Question 16. What part of the chicken has the most feathers? So what part of the chicken has the most feathers? I'm just going to give the answer for this one, okay? The outside. Oh dear, what part of the chicken has the most feathers? The outside. Of course, there are no feathers on the inside of a chicken. Okay, all right. We'll focus on this next one a little bit more. What has a bottom at the top? Okay, 17. What has a bottom at the top? I didn't get this one. No surprise there. Terrible at them. What has a bottom at the top? The answer is your legs. Okay, we think about it, of course. The top of our legs, we have our bottom, which is what we sit on. So it has a bottom at the top of our legs. Very clever. Very well done. This one, I chuckled at this one when I read it and practicing it. I gave a little so that was kind of how I responded to that one. Just because of the word bottom, really. But yeah, what do you think? That will make you laugh? How are you doing with these? I'm really intrigued to know, one, if you enjoy this kind of podcast, a little bit more relaxed, just going through things like this. Or maybe all of you have just switched off about Riddle 5. I don't know. I won't know until, well, next Sunday, which is a long time. So I really hope you were enjoying this, or if you're not, you're just kind of just sitting back, relaxing, listening to me natter on about nothing, as always. Okay, number 18. We've only got 3 more. How far can you walk into the woods? So this one I thought was quite clever. Okay, how far can you walk into the woods? Into. I think this is a really difficult one, actually. how far can you walk into the woods? Give you a couple of moments just to churn this one over. This would have been the perfect time to have a glass of water, which I've left in the kitchen. That was kind of my thinking. Give you some time to think rather than me nattering on like I am now. I would have had a little sip of water, but I don't have any water. Okay, left it in the kitchen. All right, number 18. How far can you walk into the woods? Halfway. After that, you're walking out. Very clever. So, of course, if you walk into the woods, once you reach halfway and you carry on walking, well, you're now walking out of the woods. You're no longer walking into it, are you? Once you reach that halfway point, you're now walking out of the woods. I guess that could apply to anything. How far could you walk into that field? Or on that field? Halfway. Then you're walking out of the field. Very good. I liked that one. One of my favourites. Number 19. This answer made me give out a big in frustration. What is red and smells like blue paint? What is red and smells like blue paint? Okay, going to give you the answer. It's frustrating. I warn you. Maybe you got it. I didn't. Red paint. The answer is red paint. Yeah. Of course, because it still smells like paint, but it's red. All paint smells the same, doesn't it? Yeah, I guess most emulsion paint smells the same. But yeah, red paint is the answer. Okay, number 20. It's our last one. I hope you did enjoy this. When is a door no longer a door? When is a door no longer a door? Again, bordering on joke territory here, not riddle territory. When is a door no longer a door? Think of the way I'm saying a door. When it's a jar. Just to clarify, a jar, if a door is a jar, it's ever so slightly open. You know, it's quite frustrating. I don't know, when you get into bed in the evening, you realise you've left your door ajar by mistake, just slightly open. You have to get out of bed and close your door. So when is a door no longer a door? When it's a jar. And I guess it's kind of a little joke here because it's a jar, like a jar of something. So there you go. There were the 20 riddles that I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, as I said, something just a little bit more relaxing, but getting yourself thinking in this way in English is such a great way of practicing. You know, not everything when you're studying English has to be so serious and to the point. Just thinking in English in ways that you don't normally do so is a brilliant way of just practicing and getting the cogs turning in English. Because if you can start thinking in English, well, then everything changes. It improves very quickly. So there you go. I hope you did enjoy this podcast today. Thank you so much for your support as always. It genuinely, honestly means a lot to me. Each week we get more and more listeners, and I'm truly excited for where this podcast will go. I'm going to keep it up, you know. We've got some great guests lined up. If you watched last week's episode, we had a fantastic discussion with pronunciation with Emma. She was a lovely guest. Absolute pleasure to chat to. So if you haven't done so, check out that episode. And next week, we have another guest joining us, which you will most likely know from Instagram. But thank you so much for watching or listening. Thank you for supporting this little podcast that really, honestly, is just designed for you to have something to listen to in English in a relaxed and comfortable way. My name is Gideon. This is the GSL English Podcast. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon.